Hello, class. My name is Goals-Valles, and I'm a sports psychologist. And today I'm going to talk to you about the importance of setting goals and why we should be setting goals. I want to start off with a quick quote. The quote about goals is setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. That quote was by Tony Robbins, and basically what it's saying is that goals basically they set things in motion. So things that normally wouldn't happen, or things that um, maybe I believe wouldn't happen because of my skill level or just my setting. When I set goals, I basically help make things happen. And so to start off with that, I just kind of wanted to ask if anyone in here knows the definition of goals. You raise your hand and I'll answer. I'll give you. Awesome, great. Those are all great definitions of goal setting. Just to give you a little bit more of a professional um, definition of goal setting, this is based off of Locke, and Latham, and basically their definition of goals is an objective or aim of action to attain a specific standard of proficiency in a specific task. So basically, it's just my effort put into something um, in order that I may accomplish a specific goal or a specific task. Um, so while we built the basis of goal setting and not goal setting but goals, um, right now I'm gonna have you for a few minutes just write down a few of goals that you may have had in your past. Um, I'm sure that goals aren't something very new to you guys, but so with that said, I would like for you guys to write down for a few minutes to write down a few goals that you have had in your past, and I'll call on you, and then you could talk a little bit about them. What was a goal that you had in your past? Great. Did you accomplish that goal? Okay, awesome. Um, Great. So, how about right now? Do any of you have any specific goals at the moment? Great. Awesome. Those are all great goals. Appreciate your help with that. So, with that, I want to talk a little bit about just a little bit deeper about goals. So, we're going to start off with types of goals. So, there's several different types of goals. So, to begin with that, there are outcome goals, um, performance goals, process goals, long-term and short-term goals. Um, so basically, starting off with the first one is performance goals. So with performance goals, that is basically when I compare myself to my last competition, or I compare myself to my last um, practice. So basically, with performance goals, an example of performance goals is, let's say I am playing basketball and I scored 20 points on my last game. So my next game, I make this goal to score 25 points. So 5 points above what I was scoring before. That would be a performance goal. And moving on to the next one would be outcome goals. So with outcome goals, that is basically me just focusing on the end result of my goals. So with outcome goals, the problem with this one is that it's not so much that it's wishful thinking, but it's not in my entire control. I can't control everything that happens at the end. I may desire to win a wrestling match. I may desire to score the winning shot, but we're not in full control of that end result. However, still setting outcome goals is important for athletes um, because it's the desired result of my competition. So I may hope, like I said before, I may hope to win the wrestling match. I may hope to score, 30 points in a basketball game. But these are all important because it keeps me focused and it allows me to focus on the end result. I may have let's say I may have a really bad first half, but at least I know that I'm still able to change the outcome of the game. Another type of goal is a process goal. And with process goals, this is what is most in my control. So, process goal is primarily dealt with practice. So basically, from practice, um, I am able to watch how I perform at practice. I could figure out ways to change the way uh, that I do certain things at practice. So if I decide that want, if there's a certain task, so if there's a certain move or a certain technique that um, I may not be entirely proficient in, if from practice to practice, from week to week, as long as I set those goals that hey, I'm going to figure out this move or I'm going to figure out this technique, and watching that process and watching me attain that proficiency, that is considered a process goal, and that's something that is in um, my full um, it's in my hands, and I'm able to decide what happens from it. And then to end with the types of goals is they're very simple, but long-term and short-term goals. So with long-term goals, as stated in the word, these are goals that I set outside of a short period of time. So it's not so much of, hey, I hope to do well on my test tomorrow, but this is a long-term goal would be considered, hey, I want to finish the year with a 4.0. I want to win state this year. I want to win nationals. And in comparison to short-term goals, these are more day-to-day goals. Um, Almost goes alongside with process goals. But this is when I decide that an example would be I want to wake up earlier than normal. I want to wake up every day at 5 a.m. because I want to go on a run before practice. That's a day-to-day goal. It's short term because it's from one day to another day. And these don't have to be extreme. These are pretty simple. The good thing about short-term goals is that they allow us to grow in this process of setting goals. And we could start off small, and that's the great thing about setting these types of goals and the importance of setting these goals. They also keep us motivated by setting these short-term goals. It helps us to see the small victories and seeing that our goals are being met, um, which allows us to take extra steps into setting those big goals that we hope to achieve one day. And so, going a little bit more into detail of why, going into a little bit more detail about why setting goals is important is to increase in my performance. So if I'm not setting goals, I am basically stagnant. And I'm sure a lot of us have been like that in our competition levels, is that We come to practice, we put on our shoes, we do the drills, we do what we need to do in order to achieve um, these certain goals. And so by um, increasing by setting these types of goals, I'm basically increasing my performance because now I have something to shoot for. I have something to aim for. Um, what also happens with this is that I increase my positive thought intake. So a lot of times if I'm not setting certain goals and I'm not keeping myself accountable for my workouts and things that I'm doing, um, a lot of times I could get into this negative mindset. So if I go to practice and it's rough and it's difficult, or we lose a game, or I miss a shot, a lot of times these things that can become negative. However, when we include types of goals such as I stated, like process goals, it gives us room for improvement, and it also gives us room to make mistakes. And that's one of the greatest things, is having that grace for ourselves allows us to ultimately have greater positive outlooks and greater positive thoughts, um, which it helps us because it allows us to grow as athletes. And also, what goals do is they build our confidence. Like I stated with day-to-day goals, if we're setting goals day by day, small goals, um, when you gain those victories, you gain personal confidence. Um, if you score 10 points and you score multiple shots in a row, or you get multiple points, depending on which sport you were doing, um, those little small victories help you to gain that confidence in to move on and to get bigger goals and to seek out bigger achievements. Um, so that's that's a really important topic and point in setting goals, is increasing your confidence. And also with this, research has shown that by setting goals, you are in fact enhancing your ability, your performance. So this is not just something that sports psychologists or doctors have created, and it's just like something that, oh, to just keep you positive. Yeah, it is. Setting goals, it is there to help you think positively and feel better about yourself, but it's scientifically proven that when we set goals, we're actually physically helping ourselves to become better athletes. And that's one of the things we want as athletes. We want to think better. We want to think more positively. We want to um, increase our ability. Um, and we ultimately just want to think clear and to have a clear conscience, and to achieve these goals and to achieve these great things. So by setting goals, we're moving in that right direction. And as I stated, they could be small, but the small victories will eventually lead to big victories. And just to talk a little bit deeper about goal settings, is that there's several different types of theories. The first theory that I would like to talk to you about is Burton's cognitive theory. So basically with this is that Burton believed that goals were directly tied to an athlete's anxiety levels, their motivation, and their and just how they performed. So goals were directly linked to this. And so basically with this as well, there was basically my outlook will always align with my perceived ability. So if I don't believe that I can do something, a lot of times it is in direct correlation with what I believe I can do, ability wise. So by setting goals, a lot of times this allows me to um, not so much think out of the box, but it allows me to set high goals, and with that, um, eventually my ability will catch up to those goals. And with this theory, Burton believed that there was three different outlooks or three different styles of orientation, which would be performance orientation, success orientation, and failure orientation. And with that, we're looking, while we set goals, we're looking at performance. How am I doing? Um, what is my success rate in my sport? And then also like my failure, like examining my failure, um, to see exactly like where I'm going um, with my goals. And Locke and Latham, um, mechanistic theory, also states that goals function in four different ways. So when I set goals, there is a direct attention. So it directs my attention. So if I'm not setting goals, I'm basically just going to practice. I'm doing my thing, and I'm going to the game, and I'm performing. But when I set specific goals, what I'm doing is that I'm narrowing my vision on what I want to accomplish. It also mobilizes my effort. So it gets my effort going, and it allows me to get moving and to try my best in order that I may achieve certain things instead of just going with the flow. And it also increases my persistence. So instead of me just giving up at the first try, goals allow me to, like I stated before, to have a little bit of grace for myself and to understand that this is a process, and I'll eventually get to the place that I desire athletically. And so this increases my persistence with that. And then the last one, it also employs new strategies. So it's setting goals just allows me to overall examine um, myself as an athlete and to see where I can improve on and to employ these strategies in order that I may achieve these specific goals, these specific tasks. Um, Otherwise, I would skim through my mistakes and just go through uh, the routine of being an athlete. But as Lockie and them uh, suggest, is that I'll be able to develop new strategies to attain these goals. And to end um, my talk about the importance of goals, um, I just kind of wanted to go through just some simple guidelines for setting goals. So when setting goals, we want to be realistic, um, and we want to set specific goals. So when I say be realistic, what I mean is that I'm not going to set these crazy goals to the point where I know I'm not gonna achieve them. So as um, if you're an athlete that swims, you're obviously not going to do a time, like set a goal for a time that is humanly, physically impossible. Like we're gonna set goals to where we know that we can actually achieve this, or maybe it's just a little bit off of what our ability is, but it allows us to push our bodies to eventually get to that goal. So be realistic. Also set specific goals. So not so much wide range, like, oh, I want to be successful. Oh, I want to win. Those aren't specific goals. Be specific. I want to get this time in my race. I want to score this many points in my game. I want this. I want that. But it's very specific. Um, Also set long term and short term. As I stated, both of those are very positive, and they change our confidence and our outlook on our sport. Um, Also, always set positive goals versus negative goals. Um, as much as we want, as much as our minds scatter, it's easy for us to have negative goals, but we want to set positive goals. We want to set goals that are going to allow us to move forward and to move ahead. And by doing so, um, we're going to have a better outlook and a more positive outlook on life. I hope that through this presentation today that you guys were informed a little bit more about setting goals. I know that a lot of us have a general sense of what goals are, a general sense of how they work and the process of them. But I hope that through this presentation that I gave you today that you're able to take away a positive look on goals and a little bit more strategic way to use goals for your benefit. Goals are here to build your confidence. They're here to help set you in the right direction. They're here to help you think positively and to ultimately achieve those athletic endeavors that we all have. And I wish you all well. I hope that your careers go amazing. And don't forget to set those goals. Don't forget to be positive. And use these strategies that I gave you. I can't tell you what goals to set, but I can help you facilitate the process of goals. And once again, thank you for having me. And continue to set those goals. And I look forward to hearing about all your successes. Thank you.